Tantra has been rightfully called an ideal path for householder. And many scholars emphasize that Tantra, though came as a revolutionary teaching sometimes in the medieval India, in fact it's simply a revival of the earlier teachings present in the Upanishads. So it's a revival of the earlier teachings before a more monistic perspectives, more renunciate perspectives were introduced and perhaps began to dominate. So from that point of view, Tantra has a tremendous value for us here in a given set of circumstances where we find ourselves in this rapidly globalized world, where spiritual practice need to adhere to the necessity of time. It cannot be a stuff of ashrams and libraries or philosophical debates. It has to find its expression and it has to find its confirmation in our daily life, throughout our daily interactions, in the gist of it, in the midst of it. So this is very important to have always somewhere at the forefront or in the background of your awareness, doesn't matter. That there is no such thing as my spiritual life, my spiritual practice, and then my life as I go about it. These areas, if they felt as two, need to be brought into one, need to be seen as one the expression of the other. Because this division is not very helpful, and it's superficial, and it postpones that what needs to happen anyway. It simply delays, postpones that lived naturally, life lived naturally, in spontaneity, throughout all its aspects. And therefore, we constantly speak about this necessity to integrate everything immediately. Immediately, everything needs to be integrated. Anything that we learn, how does it sit in our life? How does it sit in our daily interactions? How does it sit with our aspirations? How does it sit with our creativity? How does it sit within our relationships? So therefore, there's no such thing that we come to the retreat, learn something, then go back to our life, as it were, and then until the next retreat, or until the next possibility for doing spiritual work. That work is continuous, always, at all times. Yes, the mundane pace of life will have its momentum. We will be tumbled down, gobbled up. And that's okay, that's fine. That's also part and parcel of this being embodied. But it takes just a little bit of that reminder, just reminding ourselves that that's fine. Whatever tumble, whatever rumble, it's all part of it. In the midst of densest of contractions, at the heart of it there's always expansion. And the reverse is true too. Amidst of wildest and widest of all expansions, there's a contraction. This is the pulse of Shiva. This is Spanda, the throb, at the heart of it all. So therefore, whenever we find ourselves at any of the extremes, this is that reminder that immediately restores that sense of inner equilibrium. So know that whenever there is some situation in life, in encounters, whatever, whenever we feel pickled, pinched, restrained, cornered, whatever, contracted, dense, know that at the heart there is this expansion. So that you don't feel like, oh, something is unfair here, I'm doing my spiritual work, how come I'm failing spectacularly? No, you're not failing spectacularly. This is how consciousness resonates constantly, constantly, at every level. At the unimaginably infinitesimal level to that level of the expansion of the entire universe. This expansion and contraction is the ebb and flow. So this is a very, very helpful understanding which relieves us from unnecessary sense of failure, that somehow spiritual work doesn't bring this perpetual sense of being unraveled across the universe. That is simply impossible. There is this rhythm, cadence. We feel more expanded, and then we feel more, let's call it compacted, contracted. More acutely experiencing being in the body, more acutely experiencing point in time, more acutely experiencing something which is minute in its nature. And then there are other times when all this seems to be molten, all this seems to be merged. The boundaries are merged. They're fuzzy. They're not pronounced. Enjoy both. Find the way to enjoy both. But the main thing, the main message is there's no spiritual and mundane. It's a simply category in the mind. There's no such thing. Everything is measured by nothing other than the level of our consciousness. So, this way it's easier to integrate everything. Simply easier to integrate. And there is no need to tense about how to integrate. Wherever we go as we are. No? It's quite self-evident. And we are the world. So wherever we go as that.